Okay, we'll start. I'm just looking at electrolytes, and the extent of ionization is measured by conductivity. But I think this is the part that we ended at last time. You guys have sent you the consolidation activity for electricity. I think you are still busy with that one, or are you done with that one? Are you done?
No, sir.
You're still busy. Okay, when do you think you're gonna finish?
By tomorrow.
By tomorrow. Okay, so we'll revise that on Friday. Friday, please don't forget Friday. We're just gonna delay the lesson a bit. Let's start at around about what time? Can we start at 2:30?
Yes, that's fine.
On Friday.
Yes,
yeah, because I have to go somewhere. Then I think I will delay also the lesson for the grade 11s. I'm supposed to start at 1, so I'll start at around about 1:30. So yours must come in at 2:30. All right. Okay. So let's look at this. We're looking at how to measure conductivity, and we spoke about for you to be able to check whether a substance conducts electricity or not, you need to dissolve it in water. When you dissolve it in water, then it's going to form ions. All right, it's going to form ions. All right. Then you put your electrodes, you dip electrodes in the solution. Then you connect it using connecting wires to a battery. That's your battery there. Then you've got a switch. All right. Then you've got your bulb. So the bulb is going to tell you whether current is flowing or not. By it lighting, then you know it's conducting electricity. If it doesn't light, then it means that particular solution is not a good conductor of electricity, or there are no free ions in solution. Right. So this is what you have for that. Then the solution to be tested is placed in the beaker. The switch is closed, and if the solution conducts electricity, the light bulb will light up. The brighter the bulb glows, the more conductive the solution is. All right, so if it's dim, it could be there are fewer ions that are flowing. So that's hence the brightness is also affected. It is recommended that this experiment be done as a demonstration, but we won't be able to do that since we are doing it on online. But maybe when we come back, then we'll try and do that. So relate conductivity to certain factors. The conductivity of a solution is determined by the concentration of the ions in the solution, right? And the concentration of ions depends on a couple of factors. What does it depend on? It depends on the type of substance that is in solution, all right? Whether the solution is able to form many ions or not. So it will depend with that type of substance. There are other substances like sugar. You dissolve it in water, but it does not form free ions. Why? Because it's a molecular substance, right? Then the degree of solubility of the solute in the solution. How soluble is that particular substance? Does it dissolve completely or partially dissolves? Because it will determine whether you have more ions or not. Right? This means that we can use the degree of conductivity as an indicator of how soluble a substance is. Right, a solution that conducts electricity, we call it an electrolyte. We call it an electrolyte. So a substance that allows electricity to pass through, and it is a solution. It is in liquid form. We call it an electrolyte. All right. So electrolyte, it has to be a solution or a gel-like substances. I think nowadays, even in the batteries, they're using gel. Right, so a gel can also be, so it can be a solution or it can be a gel substance that is able to conduct electricity. We call it an electrolyte. Right, then a word of warning here, not all soluble substances give rise to electrolytes. Example is sugar. Sugar is soluble in water, but sugar is not a conductor of electricity. Why? Because sugar is a molecular substance. Right, it comes as a result of covalent bonding. It's not as a result of ionic bonding. So therefore, there are no free ions there are no cations and anions in sugar. So that's why even if it dissolves in water, but there are no ions present, so that's why sugar won't conduct electricity, because there are no charged particles in the solution. Conversely, you need to know that there are some molecular substances that also dissolve in water to form ions. Right, a good example of this is strong acids. Right, so if you take sulfuric acid, for example, you dissolve it in water. Right, it will ionize in water, so there will be ions in it. So that's why you find in your car batteries, the electrolyte there is sulfuric acid. Why? Because it has got ions, so it's able to conduct electricity. Their solutions in water are very good conductors of electricity. The way in which these substances give rise to ions in water is different from what happens with ionic compounds. So there's a reaction that happens with water. When you put sulfuric acid in water, then there's proton transfer that occurs, which is an acid-base reaction. There's a proton transfer that occurs that ionizes the water, right? It's a different from this one, but we'll look at it, I think, in the type of reactions that we're going to be looking at. Right. Then we've got factors that affect conductivity of electrolytes. Right. The conductivity of an electrolyte is therefore affected by the following factors. What are those factors? The first one that we have is the concentration of ions in solution. Right. The higher the concentration of ions in solution, the higher its conductivity. So if the concentration is lower, then the conductivity also becomes less. So concentration of ions, the higher the concentration, the higher the conductivity. Why? Because if the concentration is high, it means you've got many ions in solution. If your concentration is lower, then it means you've got a fewer number of ions present in that solution or per given volume of water. So that will affect your conductivity. Then next one, you've got your type of substance, right? The type of substance that dissolves in water. Whether a material is a strong electrolyte, for example, potassium nitrate, or a weak electrolyte, for example, vinegar or acetic acid, right? Or a non-electrolyte, for example, sugar or alcohol or oil, right? It will affect conductivity of water because the concentration of ions in solution will be different in each case. If you look at a strong electrolyte, it means there will be more ions in the solution because why? It's because potassium nitrate completely dissolves in water or completely ionizes in water. So therefore, there will be many ions present for them to conduct electricity. If it's a weak electrolyte, what is a weak electrolyte? It's a substance that partially dissolves or partially forms ions. Most of them remain intact without forming ions, like your acetic acid. So you only have fewer ions in solution. That's the difference between a weak and a strong electrolyte. A weak electrolyte will completely ionize, and a weak electrolyte will partially ionize. So it will have fewer ions in solution. Then the next one, you've got your sugar. Sugar, we said it's a molecular compound, therefore it won't form ions. There are no ions present, so it won't conduct electricity. Strong electrolytes form ions easily. Weak electrolytes do not form ions easily, and non-electrolytes do not form ions in solution. So that's the type of substance. Then the next one is temperature. Temperature, the warmer the solution, the higher the solubility of the material being dissolved. So if your temperature is high, right, you find that there's more, the substance is going to dissolve faster, or more of it will dissolve. But if it's cold or if the temperature is lower, some of it won't dissolve. Just like when you put sugar in hot water and cold water, or hot tea and cold tea. If you put it in hot tea, the sugar will dissolve faster, all right? If you put it in cold, then it will take time to dissolve. So the higher the temperature, then the higher the solubility of the substance. That will lead to more formation of ions. Right. So that's what we have for this section here. All right. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna give you an activity for you to do this. But since you are still busy with electricity, I think I will post this tomorrow for you to do an activity that falls under this section here. Clear? I don't want us to go ahead and do precipitation reactions. I just want us to finish up the electricity, then we move on to precipitation reactions, so that at least
So,
you are not far much behind from what we're doing. So I need to give you, revise, revise, and so on and so on. Yes.
so are you gonna also send these notes with their activity?
The ones that we're doing now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to send it. I'm going to send it after this lesson here. I will just put an activity for you to do, but the due date, you can do it after you've done the consolidation activity for electricity.
Okay.
Yes. I've seen about 18 people have done the quiz, the one online, but when I look at the marks, there are no names. So I'm not sure when you got it. Did you put your emails on the
So
on
there was
that,
no
quiz?
column for email.
Come again?
There was no column for email.
There was no column for email because now I'm getting marks, but the marks are not corresponding with the names. There are no names on that one. So I don't know how I'm going to resolve this. But let me check on it, then I'll get back to you. Otherwise, I'll send you a message as to what is it that you must do. Otherwise, I think I need to allow you to make changes even after you've submitted. I need to check it out and see. Because now I've got marks, but I'm not sure whose marks are these, because there are no corresponding emails or names. Ne? All right. Any other questions? Any questions?
Do we have to remember anode and cathode?
You have to remember what? Anode
Cathode.
and cathode. Not exactly, but if you know it, the better. But not exactly, because you're not going to get questions that would ask you about anode and cathode. You're only going to do it maybe in grade 12. That's where we look at anode and cathode when you do redox reactions. So don't go deep into that. If you know what is an anode, cathode, it's still fine. But it's not like a prerequisite for you to know that. What you must just know is the factors that affect conductivity. Then that experiment there, basically, how does that experiment work? Then we take it from there. Basically, that's all you need to know. The next section that we're going to do, it's whereby you'll be given a substance you need to know, or you'll be given a reaction. You should be able to identify what are the products that are going to form. Is it a precipitation reaction? Is it a redox reaction? Is it an acid-base reaction? But I will explain to you those three types of reactions, so that in an exam, if you're given that, you should be able to do that. Or another question that you might get is to complete a reaction where you've got two substances that you're given, then you need to do the product of that particular reaction and tell whether it's a precipitation reaction, is an acid-base reaction, and so on. But I will explain it to you. I need a period to explain to you how you go about doing that. Clear? Right, like I explained last time, I got a circular from the district which was saying your final exam for grade 10, right? You're going to write one paper. The one paper is going to be divided into two parts, which is your chemistry and your physics. And the mark allocation there, if I remember, my mind serves me well, it was saying 85, 65, if I'm not mistaken, to give it to be, yeah, 85, 65, but it was not 75, 75. There was that discrepancy there. So there's one section that will get more marks than the other one. So I'm not sure whether it will be common or we're gonna set it for you. That is for the final one that you write in November, December. All right, so you're only gonna write one paper, no longer two papers like paper one, paper two. So I don't know if maybe there are any changes, then I'll let you know. If it's one paper, then it means you would need to study. I think it's going to be difficult if it's maybe one paper, because now you have to study paper one and paper two at the same time, which is not going to be fair. So I'm not sure how it goes. But anything else, I'll let you know as these adjustments are being made. I'll let you know. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes. All right. Any other questions? Any other questions? Yes.
So you see, what this consolidation exercise, the electricity one you gave us, ne?
Yeah.
Do we have to like send pictures of our books, or can we like just get the memo from you?
If you want me to mark it, you can send it. It's only that sometimes time beats me, sometimes I don't get time. But if you want me to mark it, send it on Google Classroom. I think you can send Google using Google Forms or attachments. Write it, whatever you write in the book, you can send it. Then I see if I can try and mark it. It's only that sometimes time is not on my side. Sometimes I fail to go it. But if you want me to mark it, send it through, then I'll try my level best. I know there are some outstanding ones because of time constraints. I haven't been able to go over them. But because now at least I think I will be able to go over them.
So can you also instead send a memo so that we can mark ourselves?
Yourself, no problem. That's what I normally do. I'm just waiting for the due date. I think the due date, is it today or tomorrow?
Yeah, it's 6 o'clock today. So.
Today, right? So I can send the memo after 6. I'll send it. But I normally want to give time so that those guys who haven't who are behind, they can also try and catch up before they get the answers. Otherwise, other people are just gonna copy the answers from the memo.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll send the memo. Then you can mark your own work, which is still fine. So when you don't understand, I'm gonna explain it on. I'll explain. I'll go over that consolidation exercise on Friday, like I said, because I need to just clear out everything that you don't understand before we proceed to term 3. Before we do a lot of work on term 3, or while it's fresh in your heads on while electricity is still fresh in your heads. Yeah. Okay. Any other question? Right. If there are no questions, let's see if we can meet on. Let's meet on Friday at 2:30. All right. 2:30. Then we look at that consolidation activity. Please make sure you go over that. If there are any challenges, you ask me, send me a note on Google Classroom, or those who have got my number, you can send me a WhatsApp, then I'll clarify it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Enjoy the rest of your day. Then let's meet on Friday. Please do that activity. Yeah, we'll meet on Friday.
Okay, sir.
Okay. All right, bye.